Welcome back. It's time for our Capitol Report with Pat McGuigan of CapitolBeatOK.com. Pat, the political climate in Oklahoma seems to continue to heat up. You make a living analyzing, looking at all these developments. Let's talk about the biggest political stories of the year 2012.
Yeah, I'm going to give a few top state stories, just a couple, three city stories.
Okay.
Because I also cover that. At the state level, I think the biggest story of the year was what some call an epic fail, and that was the failure to pass, not only not start down the path of elimination of the state income tax, which was an expressed goal of the governor and the legislative leadership, but the failure to pass any income tax reduction at all. The second biggest story, in my humble opinion, is the failure to right-size government. There has not been a restructuring of state government, which many of us anticipated in wake of Governor Fallin's election. And by restructuring, I mean elimination of some agencies. Again, I repeat what I've said before. I do credit the information technology reforms and consolidation of some functions, which I think over time is going to save some money. That gets us to the third issue, where Fallin has manifested her conservative bona fides, if you will, and that's taking on the federal administration on the subject of the Affordable Care Act, or Obamacare, as some people call it, over the subject of both the insurance exchange and the mandate for expansion of Medicaid. She argues that can't be paid for, and she's going to take a more restrained approach. So those are my top three. Real quickly, in fourth, I would put the single most substantive policy reform passed this past year was the Justice Reinvestment Act, the hoped-for opportunity to begin to reallocate resources, not necessarily to reduce spending, but flatten that dramatic increase of the last 10 years. And finally, you have to credit the people of Oklahoma and the businesses of Oklahoma for the remarkable economic growth that we're enjoying in comparison to the vast majority of the rest of the states. Most indices put us in the top 15 at worst in terms of growth and other factors, and some put us in the top 3 to 5, depending on which aspect you're looking at. Oklahoma City, some months, has been the lowest unemployment rate of any city in the United States and has had a good year. So, speaking of Oklahoma City.
Top Oklahoma City stories.
Yeah, just real quickly, the top stories. You know, I've reflected on this a lot. It's one man's opinion, but it's an informed opinion. I think the completion of the Devon Tower and the reaction to it by the people of Oklahoma City, especially over the last 2 to 3 months as we've had opportunities, you know, for events. I've been at a couple. Watching the sun go down up there on top of that building and the panoramic view of central Oklahoma, it really is a benchmark. It's a moment in our history. And very closely related to that, I have to say, the decision of Larry Nichols to step down is a notable moment in our history. Mr. Nichols has been a leader for a long time. He's a very accomplished man, and his achievements are going to stand the test of time, and that tower is a symbol of a lot of things about Oklahoma City. Second would be the city's economic growth. If you're looking just at the cities, as I do in my little newspaper, the City Sentinel, the city's economic vibrancy is wonderful. It's dramatic. OCU, steadily improving, ranked first in one of the Kiplinger ratings of higher education, 39th in the country, first in the state among private institutions. And to end on a little bit of a downer note, the public school crisis here in Oklahoma City manifested, I guess, probably best by the scandal at Douglas High School, the continuing the D rating for the schools as a whole. There are pockets of excellence, and we certainly need to work on those, but Oklahoma City has a road to hoe. After all these bright things I've touched on, that's a real challenge. That's my list of some of the biggest stories of the year.
Now, you haven't left yourself much time, in fact, very little time, but one quick political prediction for 2013.
Oh, well, okay, here's another downer. Economic tribulation. I think that regardless of what happens on the cliff over the next several days, whether that turns into a slope rather than a cliff, the future is going to be very tough because of this debt issue. And it doesn't look like it's going to get resolved in the context of the cliff, so that means it's going to have to be resolved some other time.
All right. Well, that's we can talk about that more in the future.
You bet.
And you can read more about these and other topics at CapitolBeatOK.com. For Pat McGuigan, I'm Alex Cameron. Happy New Year.